Can I introduce, this is Lesley Howells from Maggie Centres.
Okay, I have to admit I've never seen Dragon's Den, but I'm petrified. And my trainee said it's not Lion's Den, Lesley, it's Dragon. So here I go. What I'm going to talk to you about is something that I'm very passionate about, and it's about psychological intervention not delivered by a psychologist, but at frontline routine care, right? And frontline supportive care. And what I'm going to refer to it as is therapeutic conversations. Now this has come about, I've been working in supportive care now for 15 years within cancer and for nigh on 25 years within other disease entities as well. Okay, so what I want to know is what happens and why. Because what I see when I'm alongside my colleagues working at the front line, doing syringe drivers or bathing somebody or communicating about bad news is not just good communication skills, right? What I want to do is capture my observations constructively, but with methodological integrity. I don't want just anecdotes or assumptions to underlie what an intervention might look like. I want there to be a theoretical underpinning, and I want to be able to articulate exactly what is and why so that we can translate that into practice. So what do I think what's happening, okay? Well, what I see is that somebody who is trusted and respected, so that could be the medic, nurse, allied health professional, and is in conversation with somebody, but they are building a fulfilling life, helping that person to build a fulfilling life with purpose and meaning, even in some of the most dire situations. And all of you here, you know what it's like to be in those situations where you can't believe how this person is coping, either with the late effects of pelvic radiation, or indeed when they know there are moments, minutes, perhaps hours, but they don't know when they're about to die. One of the things I want to do is suggest and find out whether these conversations are actually allowing people to find that their mind is a friend rather than an enemy, right? And that they can find a way in which they can live their life with meaning, even if it's very, very short, or even if it's curtailed from value-based actions. And what I want to offer you is ACT, which is as a theoretical guide. And what you'll see, just like with ACT sits with mindfulness, which sits with self-compassion, which are all derivatives from CBT, but sit much more comfortably within the supportive and palliative care arena. And what ACT has are lessons that all of us should learn, most certainly. We encounter, and this is the theoretical basis put into what's called a hexaflex, whereby we encounter people who are potentially stuck, lost, no sense of meaning. But what ACT brings is this idea of understanding what's going on. So there's a loss of contact with they're either in the past or in the future. The people can be avoiding difficult feelings, or they can be trapped in feeling that they can't be the person that they want to be any longer. But what I've observed is that people, and this doesn't have to be a psychologist enables this, but people alongside the person or their family members can help enable them to move more into the here and now, be more mindful in terms of living with uncertainty as it is, without withdrawing, but also still holding on to their values, even if they've only got moments or minutes to live. Or indeed, if they've had many, many aspects of them taken away, they can no longer serve the value of protecting their family, but how can they be a protector in another way? And I've seen it happen on frontline care. So what I'm going to propose, and I hope you can see this, is a small ethnographic study in the first instance. Because I know about the area of test and feasibility and the trials, but I really, really want to know what actually is going on. And so I'm sorry if you can't see this very clearly, but I want to start with a participant observation, getting in there into the culture of those social interactions, really kind of getting a feel for what's going on in terms of the conversation. And that to happen within acute hospital supportive care environments, alongside hospice, inpatient hospice daycare, but also community supportive care. Like, for example, the Sheffields, what you have in Sheffields in terms of a psychosocial community environment, but also within the network of Maggie Centres. I want to also be creative in my literature search, looking not just at the papers. I can look at the research papers, but I want to see the documentaries that are out there that capture some of these narratives. And to build on this, to then develop a protocol for a semi-structured interview, analyse it, but analyse it using my colleagues, a network of psychologists working within palliative care and using ACT. And from that ethnographic study, I want to then gain the insight to follow through the routine process to come up with perhaps a randomised control trial. And as you know, and as I hope I portrayed, I'm very passionate about this, and I would like to see some deliverables which actually don't require a psychologist doing it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So maybe you should tell them how much you're asking for?
A small high-interest loan. I'd like the whole million, but it depends. But for the ethnographic, come on, be pragmatic. It wouldn't. I don't know whether it would be appropriate for it to be me, but at least 200,000, so that we could equip it properly and practically over at least 2 years.
200k. Who's going to challenge that?
Well, you probably know from my presentation this morning, you're actually talking to the converted because it's what we do day in, day out with our brain cancer community. And I just, two things you came across very, very passionately, but I thought it was the expense of hard figures and quantitative data. We know nothing actually about your trial. There's lots of big words, lots of passion there, but I still couldn't see how this is going to work.
That's fair enough. It wasn't there. But give me the money, we'll write it out for you.
But be fair, Penny, she was proposing the ethnographic pilot to do the trial. She's not actually putting the trial
No,
on.
it's a feasibility study, but yes. Even then you
No, it's not even a feasibility study. It's going into the culture. It's going in there and observing before making any assumptions or having any questions in my mind.
Now, so I can ask my question.
Sorry, is that what they do?
She's a dragon.
You're so mean.
I wondered what place carers have in this.
Oh, they're in there too, most definitely. And I think you'll recall that I did actually say the person and their family.
She did.
Right, so I'm going to
Be nice.
carry on with Helen. No, because I think what you're saying is good, but I'm a hard scientist, so I want to say, when you say getting in there, I don't know, what do you mean by that? Because if you're going to do some sort of detailed observational experiment and you're passionate, then I worry you might affect the interaction.
No,
and actually you're going to be like me and a camera taking photographs of the wildlife and stepping on a bee at the same time. So I think you're actually going to be quite hard and scientific about doing research. And the risk is that you will influence results by your presence and your passion. So you need to get someone to do it, or you need to tell us how you actually do it.
I agree. And I think that's... But there is a debate there in terms of whether you have to go in with the level of experience I've got in terms of knowing what I want to look for, or whether I send in a raw, very open-minded person. And it's having to, in my own mind, I'm debating which would be the right. But I agree. The best that you have to participate in the culture, not influence it.
Yeah, I'm sort of... I think I'm with Helen on this. I mean, this feels very good, and it's lovely that you're very passionate about it, and actually, but this feels like it doesn't really feel like a research question.
Because it's not yet.
Yeah, but we've got research money here that we're about to give you, and I can't see where the research is in this. This is developing a theme.
What I'm trying to do is I work usually at the other end. I work with medics where they're saying, right, what's the statistical analysis? What's your power? But what I want to do is not make any assumptions, but go back to the beginning and really go in there, because the clinicians in the room, you're a clinician, you know that there are some people where you can enable them to take this on. And I want to know what is in that interaction. And I don't have any questionnaire measure yet that will capture that. That's why I want to go in there and have a look first.
It's about designing a measurement before you've actually got the tool, but what we're hearing about is actually the work to develop the research tool that you then want to fund.
Well, now the other dragons around, I'd like to say I'm in. I really like this.
Thank you. Because it's your subgroup, I'd take it to.
Okay. Right, well, thank you very much, Lesley.